to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rotten about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
The thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpened nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It means something. It means something.
You know, that's my take. What's yours?
Protonic reversal.
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed it is. It is science thing, is a science place. It is a scientific fact that we are all up in your face. It is time once again for the one, the only Protonic Reversal. Welcome to it. Tonight, got a returning guest. He was last on over 100 episodes ago. It does not seem like that long ago, and it seems like a lot longer. Both at the same time. You can hold two ideas in your mind, and that is the idea that I'm holding. But I like this fellow a lot. I like his band. Obviously, I do. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on the show. So momentarily, we're going to be talking to Carl from Kal Marks, who have a fantastic new record. Super psyched to get into it with him and find out everything that's going on in Kal Marks' world. But before we do that, welcome to Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. I am your host, Conan Neutron. I'm a rock and roll lifer who's been touring and recording for 24 years. Most known for the band Conan Neutron, The Secret Friends. Music is a huge part of my life, and I use the format of this very long-running podcast to talk about music with musicians whose work I enjoy and respect, but who may not be household names. This is episode 404. Now, if this is your first time listening to the show, archives of it are available for free. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding, at protonicreversal.com. However, if you want to support the show and get episodes sooner, you can do so for $1 a month at patreon.com/protonicreversal and help support the show at the same time. And if you like the show or even just a single episode, please feel free to like, subscribe on your platform of choice, even leave a review. All that helps people discover the show. It beats back the almighty algorithmic overlords. That's just a darn nice thing to do, really, isn't it? I mean, it is. So, yeah, Kal Marks, a great band, and with a new record, which is cause for celebration just in general. So we're gonna be talking all about Wasteland Baby with your friend and mine, Mr. Carl Shane. Carl, welcome back.
Hi, my name is Carl Shane, and I feel fantastic about. Wait, this is the wrong podcast. Sorry.
Is this I'm okay? You're okay? The podcast.
Yes. How you doing?
Great, man. It's been a while. Record's rad. I never had a doubt, of course. But, yeah, record's rad. So at the time of this recording, it's out. I know it took a little while to kind of get this together. So, but I'm glad. Also, at the time of this recording, you're about to go on tour. Like, you got a bunch of shows coming up, right? So
coming up soon, yeah.
And some people will hear that before that happens, and some people will hear it after that happens. And that is the way of the world, my friend.
That's okay.
So what's going on in the world of Kal Marks since last we talked over 100 episodes ago, which is crazy. I'm trying to think of when that even was.
It like over 2 years ago.
I guess it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
I think when we did it,
August 2022. Wow. All right.
We were on our way, like we were packing up, getting ready to
leave.
Out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So now you've been
and we were moving at the same time. We kind of got priced out. Our landlord wanted like $1,300 more a month.
$1,300 more. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Boston,
that's the world we live in.
Yeah, Boston's really ruthless, and like I've had some friends I even are like having their first kid, and their landlord wants $1,000 more a month.
Oh my God.
So a lot of people leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of just how things go as you get older. That you leave the city. I wish I did it years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
How so? Like, how has that been? Has this been better for your mental health, or what do you think? Just hassles?
Oh, I think a little bit. I mean, it's not like gonna fix everything,
Right.
but it's a very transient city, and I mean, obviously, there's like a ton of colleges, and I feel like transient cities have like a bit of a depressing vibe, especially when you're a musician. You're like, oh, all the people
Yeah.
you used to play with have moved.
They're far
or-
away now, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe are too big to even play with us anymore, or just don't play, or
Yeah.
like say in one extreme, I'd say some are dead. And
There's always that, unfortunately. Yeah.
yeah. And so and then it's just always gotten more and more expensive, and everything that you love kind of closes down. And so yeah, it's still like, I don't want to shit on it too much. It's like I see a lot of Boston expats all the time, and they're always like, yeah, Boston, huh? And I'm like, just remember, it was awesome at one point. We had like such an amazing music scene.
Right.
I guess that's why it's so heartbreaking. You know?
Well, it hurts all the more because of that. I mean, I feel like we talked about some of this last time as well, because I experienced something similar.
Yeah.
In the Bay Area, because I'm not from Milwaukee. I'm from Oakland. And yeah, just, I mean, if you want to do anything other than just go to a job and come home from that job, like, it's just impossible to live. And it's unsustainable. And my hat's off to anyone that can pull it off.
Yeah.
Good for them, but not me, man. Like,
well, Milwaukee's so far. I didn't move that far. I moved like an hour away.
Yeah, yes, you're like an hour away. No, exactly. But that was definitely, I mean, I wouldn't say that, moving to Milwaukee is the thing for people, but a bunch of people I know that I came up with, like, a lot of them moved from the Bay Area to somewhere else, whether it's just like more outlying areas or, in some cases Sacramento, which is like depressing for me because like that I grew up in the Central Valley.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
right.
Oh yeah, you're going to there? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I got out of there like a convict in a prison break, but okay, looks good on you, but also like you're looking for different things when you're not 20 years old too, as you alluded to.
Yeah, I'm from I grew up in New Hampshire, and every so I go see my parents, and when I go, I'm like, oh, this is so nice, but I'm still like, I'm not gonna live here. Like I'm,
Totally, I feel that way all the time. Exactly. It's all right. Yeah.
I feel like and it's totally fine if somebody does, but there's something like innate in me that like just wouldn't let me do it. And it was, my wife really was pushing for Rhode Island, and I don't know why I never thought about Rhode Island before. I've definitely been here a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it here.
I think it's a state that's just kind of easy to miss. Honestly, like, I'm not trying to make a size joke. Like, it just is like, it's not. East Coast especially is popular with, lucky enough to have like a lot of great cities that are around. I think it's just kind of like, oh yeah, Rhode Island. Except for like if you're a certain, the caveat to that is if you're into H.P. Lovecraft or if you're into like the RISD kind of noise craziness.
Yeah,
I am, but
yeah,
I'm a freak of nature, so take of that what you will.
Yeah,
that I think otherwise like people are like, oh yeah, Providence is really cool. Like that's a cool city, and like not as bespoiled by metropolitan woe as Boston, right? So it's like you're able to actually do stuff and get a lot more bang for your buck, so to speak. Be creative, like without necessarily going into bankruptcy.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it definitely has gotten a little more expensive here.
Yeah, it's gotten. Yeah,
but that's everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's still like worlds apart from New York and Boston and such. I don't know. And it's just like, I find it just to be very, I think people are nicer here too. So
there is that too when you get away from like metro areas are great, but it's like not, people are they're busy, they're running around doing stuff, and it's like there's something to be said about like, I don't know, not that it's like Mayberry, but like a little bit of a slower way of life, like to a certain degree, right? Like
in some ways it does feel very urban to me.
Yeah.
Like some of it feels very like, I feel like depending on what part of town I'm in, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm in Brooklyn or something. But then you drive 10 minutes and then you're like, oh, I feel like I'm in like, sometimes I feel like it's very Jersey-ish. And then sometimes I'm like, it's very classic New England. And we live in the suburbs, but we're still 10 minutes from downtown Providence, and
which is great. Best of both worlds, Like it isn't like, oh, I gotta drive how far to get there,
No. Yeah.
Which becomes harder and harder for people to overcome as time goes on. Usually the case.
Yeah.
I mean, not me. I'm talking about other people. But
yeah.
So this record. So Wasteland Baby, it kind of almost seems like, I don't know, would you call this a concept record? There are concepts in this record. Like it definitely like seems like people are like, why are they talking about this so much? Because I feel like there are themes that in this record that kind of equate with some of the stuff that you're talking about, and very intelligently done, I might add. I expected no less. So,
thank you.
But was that something that just like that's just where you're at, or did you have like this idea like, hey, this grouping kind of feels this way, et cetera, et cetera? Like, how did this record come to pass? 'Cause I think it's genuinely interesting.
Fuck, I don't remember when it definitely wasn't a meditated thing, premeditated thing, like of like being like the next one's got to be a concept, like, and I still use that very lightly because it's more of a concept for me than for the listener. I think it was more of like, because I feel like in the past, like we've always made records with maybe almost too much variety, or like, or like it's actually, there's really great records with a lot of variety, but you have to like figure out how to tie it all together. And so
still follow that compass that keeps you where you're going,
Yeah.
Like there needs to be like a thread through all of it, or it's just like you're like, all right, here's the ska song now. Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's weird. Why are they doing that?
There's actually, I shouldn't say their name. Never mind. I was gonna be like, oh, do you know this band? They're awesome, but they have this one song that doesn't fit. I'll tell you later.
Oh yeah, tell me out there. No, but
you'll know who they are. But
I'm just thinking of stuff like London Calling, right? Like I love London Calling, and that record sounds like The Clash, even though it's there's all kinds of stuff on that record. Like it doesn't all just sound like the title track or Train in Vain. Even but it all sounds like The Clash.
Yeah, I love that record. I would say though, I've had argument with my friend for a long time who also loves that record. That I've always been like, you could skip Jimmy Jazz and Brand New Cadillac.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, one of them is a cover.
Right. Which is just like, what? Why that one? But okay, sure.
It's
fine.
When you already have so many songs, like why do you need to fit a cover in there?
And the fact that Train in Vain almost didn't make it, it's like, oh my God, that's like one of your best songs ever. It's like the best Mick Jones song ever. No, I agree with you. Like, and it's, whatever they're going to do, whatever they're going to do. But I think even a lot of my favorite records would be like, yeah, you can miss me with a couple of these. Like Super Unknown by Soundgarden, right? It's like, good Lord, that record is like so long. It's like, this is like a double record.
I kind of skip Spoon Man, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Spoon Man guy.
Can I tell you, when I listen to that, I always skip Black Hole Sun. I always skip Spoon Man. I just skip them, and it's a much shorter record because of that. Because I'd rather hear like
an amazing song, but you've heard it like
so. It's like you heard it in the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to electively hear. And I'm not mad at it. I'm just like, I don't need to hear that. Whereas if I hear a song like Limo Driver, I'm like, oh hell yeah, this is really cool. Or even like Day I Tried to Live is like, that's a
I love that
great
song.
Oh, amazing song, right?
I love that song. I love the 4th of July.
Fourth of July. If only I would love to. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's
goals
for me.
I only recently like listened to them for real. Like I knew all the radio hits.
Yeah, of course, sure.
But I never really like sunk my teeth into their actual albums, and I was like,
there's a lot of depth there. Like and it's interesting because it was about 10 years ago probably that like I knew Bad Motorfinger. What is it? Yeah, is that the name? Yeah, the one the record is Bad Motorfinger, and that's just because like, oh, that's a killer riff. That's awesome. So I had that CD, and I remember for some reason I was like mad at Super Unknown when it came out. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. And like and then like I listened back to it, I'm like, this record's way too long, but holy crap, this is like fantastic. Like it's like really well constructed songs, you know?
Yeah, I think there's some people that are like, no, Bad Motorfinger is like the superior record because it's like it's got more cred or whatever, or whatever. It's the same thing with like, I imagine like some people when Unwound released their last album were like, the earlier stuff is better, and it's like, oh yeah, well people. I mean, it's not worse, but it's
just different.
It's just that like, it's. You know, it was like kind of like a work of art, like where the other records are great, but like it really feels like there was a lot of attention given to it.
Absolutely, and sometimes that can come off as like, oh, they're not as street as they used to be or whatever. Which like, what are you talking about? Like, but if you're a kid, especially, and you're like, oh, I just want to hear another Rusty Cage or Outshine, you know, and you're like, well, what's a Spoon Man BS? Yeah. I don't want to hear this.
It definitely can work in the opposite, where somebody tries to make their opus and it comes off like way too pretentious. And I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure something will.
I can, but I want to maintain those friendships. So. No, but I mean, like but I feel like for you, especially, like I feel like your stuff has always kind of come as much from like the Leonard Cohen world or something as like Fugazi. You know, where it's like you're coming from the perspective of like they're very strong songs, and lion's share, not every one of them, but lion's share of them, it's like, oh, you could strip them down and just play them acoustic, really, and like, which doesn't say that you could or should do that with all of them. But,
I do sometimes.
Yeah, you can do it, and it's the genre that you guys Kal Marks tends to inhabit. Tends to be like with like the more noise rock bands where it's like it's more of a sound band than a song band a lot of times. Which isn't to say that a band can't have great songs, but like the focus is on like the sound and like the live feeling and whatnot. And most of my favorite, I mean, you mentioned Unwound, great songs, right? Mm-hmm. They always great. I mean, from the jump, just like, oh my God, these are really catchy. How is that a guitar hook? What is Justin doing on that guitar? Let me try to rip it off. Nope, total failure, but I made something cool. You know, like that kind of mindset that I think that, like, it's like you guys can play in the indie rock world, but you're going to come off as kind of rowdy for them a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you can hang with like the sound bands that have like the big sound and like, you know, you'll have these surreptitious little hooks that are, you know, kind of ingratiating themselves in, like some kind of burrowing insect. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but like, but it's something that I've noticed with people that like are like, wow, I keep coming back to that record, and you know, there's just a lot to love there. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I told you to listen to it.
Thank you. Yeah.
And this record is no different in that way, which is to say that like I think you're still writing the balance between. Like if a band is just at 11 the whole time, it almost doesn't matter, right? And don't get me wrong, I love stuff that's like, sure, Napalm Death, let's go, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's like, I think that there's something to be said for being able to like dial it back and like maintain a thread through it as well. Yeah. And I think you guys do a really good job. I think you did a really good job with the last record too, but I think on Wasteland Baby especially, that's something that you're just dialed right in on.
The last record, I kind of yelled and growled way too much. I think it was kind of because, well, it definitely was because we hadn't played a show in like 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I kind of almost, even though we practiced a bunch, like, I almost like forgot how to sing. Like, just because we just didn't have.
Oh, okay. Because you didn't have the opportunity to even do it, right? So
no, yeah. And like, and then, yeah, and I just got really overwhelmed. And it was like almost to the point where Seth, a guy that's recorded both of these records, like was like, hey man, like, it's okay if you maybe you do the vocals at home, because like it was brutally hard. Like
Wow.
like almost like I didn't know how to sing anymore. And so there's like maybe a little more like croaking and yelling and
hollering.
Yeah, and
Sure.
I had to listen to the record again to just like, we hadn't played a show in a while, like, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go over some of these songs, like try to relearn the guitar parts and maybe like in the van, like while I drive for a living, work for a van rental company, like I'll like sing along to the record. And I was like, Jesus Christ, man, like, you're really overdoing it. And so it was like really a point this time to like, all right, I'm going to sing more and yell less. And I'm going to practice a lot. And
kind of bring it in a little more almost.
Yeah, if I'm screaming my head off all the time, what's the effect is lost. And
it's the same thing about like if a band is just like punishingly loud all the time too, right? It can be a bold aesthetic. It can be awesome, but it also can be kind of trying on the ears after a while, and it's all going to kind of sound a little samey.
Yeah.
Or even as something as simple as like, oh, that band's played a song in the same key like 4 songs in a row. Like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one's good too, but
yeah. C, key of C.
Yeah. Oh, again, huh? All right. I totally overuse that myself, by the way. But anyway, but I do think about it. I'm like,
yeah.
No, but I think it's. But you've got. But I think you've got good control over your voice that you can do more of a. Not understated, but just like more like not as overstated of a performance and still get the point across.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed a few other singers, frontmen, whatever, that like their first album, they're like, bah, 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 bah. And then the second or third one, they start singing more, and it's like, oh, because I blew out my fucking voice anyways, I can't really do it. And it's like, well, you know what? It's actually kind of like more effective to like, especially some of these bands I'm thinking of have like just like such a huge, beefy, fucking aggressive sound, and then to have somebody just singing or just not yelling over it, it's actually like can be more effective than just, you know.
It gets the point across a different way. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I can really scream my head off really well. Like I can do it really, really well. But yeah, it started to feel like it was like I listened to that record and I was like, oh, almost feels like I'm playing a joke. And I didn't mean to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, think of like Hetfield, right? Like James Hetfield, like literally was told like, hey, you're like, you will literally not be able to do this if you keep doing this way. You have to change what you were doing.
It was way more shrill, his voice.
Yeah.
And then my voice has dropped a bit too. And
that happens.
Yeah. Just age and wearing it down. But
I just dropped the tuning to go with it. It's no problem.
Yeah.
Professional trade secret.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are guitars in E? Like, you know,
I don't know.
Like, why? It doesn't, like, like
The first time I ever even tried to do a half step down, I was like, this is so much easier. Well, how did I not know this like before?
Oh yeah.
You know? I think it was just like I heard Nirvana did it or something, right? And then like and then I got really into Sonic Youth, which forget it. You know, like
yeah, they had that website that you could.
Oh my God, they sure did.
Like see all the tunings. I was like, Jesus.
I'd be like, hey, I did it. This sounds terrible because I'm not Sonic Youth, but I did it.
Yeah.
I tuned this guitar successfely to this very strange tuning. I think one of them I ended up like, oh, that's really cool, actually. The rest of them, like, I guess it's because they got two guitars that they can make this sound cool.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's there's something to be said for finding something where you can articulate your vision, but have it just be easier for you. Have it be something where it's like, oh, I'm not straining as hard, or I'm not, working as hard. But then there's also like, these legacy acts going out and like everything's a full step lower and stuff. Like, guys, come on.
Yeah.
Like that's a bit much. Where it's like, all right, like we never got to see Freddie Mercury not be able to hit the high notes. You know what I mean? But
you can hear Queen shit. Like he's still like an amazing singer.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that he just isn't doing in the live setting,
right?
That like must have been just. I mean, he partied a lot.
Well, yeah,
so
if you're not taking care of your vocal cords, especially, it's.
Yeah. He still was amazing, but
I mean, look, one of the best front people of all time. Up there with like some of the greatest rock singers. But also know your strengths.
Yeah, yeah. I actually saw. Me and my buddy went to see Chris Isaak.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
I was like, I know 3 songs. Yeah, cool. Yeah. And he was like, I'm such a huge fan. And I became such a huge fan after going. He paid for the tickets. So I was like, okay, yeah,
sure.
And he was like, it fucking made my jaw drop how good of a singer he was. Oh, really? And I came home and I was like, oh my God, he was amazing. And my wife was just like, well, he's still that good because he doesn't do what you do. Like
it's because it's right down the comfort line. Yeah. The entire time. And like he never like pushes too hard one way or the other, which I mean, hey, it's great for longevity for sure. By the way, I saw him. He was a musical guest for the one and only time I saw Conan O'Brien do a live show. Which
in New York or in LA?
No, in San Francisco. It was.
They did like a traveling one.
I guess so. Yeah, and when I was like, if I met him, I was gonna be like, hey, thanks for being named Conan because he basically made my life a whole lot easier for being famous, which I thought would be a funny way to introduce myself. Did not meet him, but it was George Lucas was the guest. And Will Arnett and Chris Isaak was a musical guest, and he was really good. I was like, oh man, it's like, and like you were saying, like he owned what he was doing like a lot, and you're like, oh man, I bet this is like more or less the same show that you would have seen like 20 years ago, but in a good way, like ZZ Top or something, where it's like, it turns out it's still good. All right, you know, and I wouldn't, I was the same way. That I was like, I didn't think about Chris Isaak one way or the other. I didn't have, I was like, oh yeah, that guy.
He was honestly like the greatest like showman I've ever seen. Like his in between stage banter was like funnier than like a lot of comedians I've seen.
That's great.
And they had a dancing Santa robot on stage.
Okay, that is not a sentence I expected to hear you say, but sure.
They did. Well, it was Christmas time.
Okay,
as you can imagine, and
yes, it was Christmas time.
So it would when they would do the Christmas songs, it would turn on. It would just be like,
oh, he has like a Christmas album or something, right? That's right. He has like a whole like.
Yeah, he also did like maybe 4 or 5 Roy Orbison songs. It's like, yeah, we know who you're influenced by, buddy. But when he did his originals, I think that was the best.
Yeah, it's very clearly that he. Yeah, I mean, look, I love Roy Orbison too, but it's like, oh yeah, we know you like Roy Orbison, dude. We get
And then he came out for the encore, and he came out in a disco ball suit. Like it was like a classic, like, you know, that like kind of like country western, like
stealing my style. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, like, but everything was covered in little tiny mirrors, and they shined a light on him, so he just came out like it was
like a glittering god.
Yeah, it was wild.
Nice.
And then he was like, and then he, like they were like playing him on, and he got up to the microphone. He was like, "This thing's fucking heavy."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ah, man, he's like really taking the piss out of it."
Yeah.
And, like it was great.
About the whole stagecraft thing. Sure.
Yeah.
So you're when you're hitting with this record, you're kind of thinking, okay, the last record, My Name Is Hell, like you're kind of like, you know, the more hollering, kind of going harder, pushing a little bit, like maybe hold that down a little bit and kind of like not pull from that well as much for this record.
Yeah.
Like the debt. There's no debt on here, right?
Yeah. I still like that song.
Oh, I love it. I think it sounds great. But I'm just saying that it's, you know.
Yeah. That was more like an exercise in trying to make something as ridiculous as possible. But definitely. You know, it's funny. Like there's like way less screaming, but there is one track that is just a chorus of screaming.
Yeah.
It's
not totally gone.
It's just I just looped myself screeching and screaming over and then so it's like, hey, we got all you want. It's just right in this one track.
It's just
if
one
that's
song
what you're missing.
It's a concentrate, just add water.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also I think I spent a long time on writing this, like, because some people are like said they were surprised that there was a record out this soon, and it's like, well, it did take a long time for My Name Is Hell to come out, so we were already started on this record. So in all actuality, like I spent a lot of time, like a lot. And I know that's like what you're supposed to say.
Oh yeah, we knocked it out over a weekend. Yeah, nobody wants to hear
that. Yeah. I know you're supposed to say like, yeah, we worked really hard on it, but like we worked really hard on it, and like almost to the point that it was like kind of driving us crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then like I drove myself insane the most because I was just thinking about it around the clock, working on it, always having a notebook on me, always writing everything down, even if it wasn't going to be a lyric, just like writing my thoughts down about what I wanted to do, what, you know, watching a lot of movies, reading some books, and taking note, like, I don't know if anybody has noticed, there's like, you can hear I reinterpret like lines from The Road Warrior.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
And Leaving Las Vegas, and yeah, just like I was always writing. Yeah, and
because you're sitting with this music every day, even when you're not actively recording it or you know, playing it. You're sitting with it, and it's percolating somewhere in the back. You know.
Yeah, it was definitely like, it felt like there was a lot of research and a lot of just really thinking it through and like almost like storyboarding the record and trying to figure out what could tie it together, both lyrically, subject matter wise, and then also just like sonically. And yeah, and then but then as a band, we just constantly were going like, I don't think this is gelling. Like what, like, and a lot of times it was actually just like overthinking certain things and thinking like, we had to put a lot of ego aside of being like, you know what, you're not going to have like a solo hear, like or,
Right.
song.
Yeah.
Not that we were ever a band that did a lot of solos or whatever, but it was like when we were done, our drummer was like, I feel bad, like there's not a lot of drum fills on this record. And
Right.
Seth, the engineer, was just like, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. You know that, and not every record needs it, right? I mean, think about AC/DC if like Phil Rudd was just like going off all the time. That would be horrible.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. And it's and not that you guys sound like AC/DC, but like sometimes it's not appropriate, you know?
Yeah. And there's still like a ton of insane crap in the record.
Exactly. It's not a boring record by any stretch of the imagination.
But it was just really thinking every choice over. Yeah.
Well, and I think that it's interesting to see this sort of like epoch of time with the band kind of you never quite know, right? Like it's sort of like sometimes it's like, oh, is this record just an outlier, or is just sort of like we're kind of doing this now and then we're kind of moving over this way. I think it's something like Nick Cave, right? Like I feel like there's about 4, maybe 5 eras of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, some of which I like more than others. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and I got, even when it's a record I'm not like crazy about, I'm always like, hey, good on him. He made the record he wanted to make. Those guys made a record that seems to be connecting with people. I have the ones that I can listen to, and I don't need to listen to that one. But by the same token, it's like I feel like there's epochs of time where like certain records kind of sit next to each other, and you kind of see, I see where they were going with this in retrospect. Whereas at the time it was like, you know, maybe you don't see it from that aerial view almost, but when you're in it, it's water, right? You're not often thinking about it at all. If you are, maybe you're overthinking, and then that's a whole separate set of affairs. But I think that those two, My Name's Hell and Wasteland Baby, they sit very nicely together. I don't think if one likes one, I don't think they're going to be like, ugh. Where's the harmony guitars? You know.
I did have, I did hear somebody like, I saw one blog post or something like that was like, first off, the person that was writing about the record, like they had never heard of us before. Mm-hmm. So they actually did like a quick, like they listened to the new record and they said that they did a brief overview.
Oh, okay. Kind of go back and throughout the discography. Yeah.
And they were like, I'm going to assume that there's going to be some people that are pretty pissed about this record because the noise isn't noisy enough. And I thought that was so funny to be like, the noise isn't noisy enough or whatever. And then it's like, there's a little more melody or whatever. But I haven't heard anybody say anything. Yeah. But I think if anybody does have a problem with it, they're probably not going to tell me.
Well, that's a good point. I presume that'd be the case too. But I mean, like, I think it's right on the line. Like, when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, cool, that's awesome." Yeah, sounds like those guys. You know, great. I like that band.
It's not like a complete like reinvention.
No,
but it's we are definitely trying different things, and I think also there was like a very steadfast. There was definitely a like, almost like we were making rules for ourselves for this record of being like we want to groove more, like we want to like almost like make music that we would want to dance to.
There is a lot more, for lack of a better term, groove oriented kind of movement in this, which I mean, it wasn't like that was totally absent.
We had a bit of that in the past
before. Yeah. I mean, like think of a song like Ovation. That's a relentless groove, right? It's just sort of like a Drive Like Jehu-esque sort of relentless groove, you know, which is still relentless, still grooving. But I think that's also when people get really hung up on like what, again, if it's not noisy enough, okay, you know, sure, whatever, man. Like, I mean, I don't have a lot of patience personally for that.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think that's how that's not how you get anything innovative or interesting.
Yeah. My brother is super into disco music and kind of got me into that. Like, actually, like he's like, crate digger for it, and so I only have more of like a surface level interest in disc. Like, I like the Giorgio or Marauders and
Did you hear the record he did with Sparks?
I love that record.
Fuck, it's so good.
I love Sparks.
Same.
When I had a crappy band in high school, as many would, and we had a song called "This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us," and my mom was like, "I feel like there was a band. I remember like a band."
You didn't
and
know.
She tracked down the record and found it, the Kimono My House record, and gave it to me. And my mom is like, she's not like into cool music at all. Like, she somehow knew that one. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just like she grew up in Buffalo. Maybe like for some reason, maybe it was
on
like
the radio. Maybe, who knows? I mean, it's a catchy
hit.
tune.
Yeah. And so I've always loved Sparks since I was like in high school, and then I more recently heard that record because they have a ton of records.
There's so many.
And yeah, that record is amazing. Like,
yeah,
I love it. It's awesome. Number one song in heaven is just, first off, that's such an awesome fucking title.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's bands that have ripped off their entire sound from like a Sparks record.
Yeah.
To great success. Which I think the documentary is very diplomatic about walking up to without being overly annoying about. But that's another, what a song. Jeez, you listen to that song and you're like, first thing I heard when I heard that song, that was the first Sparks song I heard. I was like, wow, this chick can really sing.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it's a dude. Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's a 70s band with like a really cool female singer. How progressive. And it's like, okay. It's just it's a dude who is pretty enough to be a woman, but is just has a very high voice. And the other dude looks like Hitler. Right on. Yeah. Cool. But Sparks' derivations notwithstanding. Like, I mean, I think that's a band that's not afraid to like do different stuff, right?
Yeah.
And some of it you can miss me with, frankly, and some of it's like, that's great, I love it. But even when it's like, I don't like this one so much, it's still like, good on them for like doing whatever the hell they wanted to do, right? And it's whereas, I mean, like, whatever, like Ramones, one of my favorite bands of all time, but at a certain point it's like, okay, so it's just more of that, huh? Cool. That's good. Yeah. Not bad.
I mean,
it's like a Hardee's hamburger, Oh, that's fine. I know what that is.
The Ramones like don't have like, when you get to the later 80s and into the 90s, like the records might not be as solid, but there still were like,
there's still like a Pet Cemetery or Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight
Cemetery.
Tonight. Yeah, like where it's like, oh, that's great.
Poison Heart.
Yeah, Poison Heart's great.
Yeah. But yeah, they did. Yeah, they definitely are one trick pony. I there's some really great.
It's a great trick though.
Was
Respect. I said it is a great trick though. Respect for them. I mean, like,
yeah. Have you ever heard the? It's Lou Reed getting interviewed or something like that. I think it's in like a documentary on Danny, whatever.
The Danny Fields documentary.
Yeah.
Danny Says, I think maybe.
Danny Says, and they he plays the Ramones for Lou Reed for the first time, and he's like, "Fuck," he's like, "This is gonna change everything."
Yeah.
He's like, "This is what I wanted to do."
Yeah.
He's like, fuck me."
Yeah. Well, and he like ends up doing like Rock and Roll Animal, if I remember correctly, which is actually, it's like, that's one of the more interesting things he did that whole decade that's not Metal Machine music, which for me never gets beyond interesting. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right on. You did it. Good on you. But yeah, like Rock and Roll Animal is sort of like, oh, yeah, I see why Metallica like this.
Yeah.
You know, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, this is just something that like wasn't done.
Yeah.
You know, at the time. You know, it's not like Dylan Goes Electric necessarily, but it was like almost on that same level of just like, this would have seemed even more over the top than it actually is at the time, based on the context.
Yeah.
So is this your Rock and Roll Animal record, Carl?
No, it's more of our. Oh God, I don't have a good.
What's the one? I should know this because we did like a power listen of a bunch of Lou Reed solo stuff. What's the? I can't think of what it is right now.
I only
Transformer, maybe like the
Transformer is great.
Yeah,
that was. I think I might have heard Transformer before I heard the Velvet Underground. Maybe.
Oh, word. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I definitely heard Satellite Love and
I love that
Walk
song.
on the Wild Side. I think, before I heard Velvet Underground.
I think, yeah, I have a brother that's 5 years older, so he was like getting into punk and hardcore. He like kind of got into like 77 era punk first, and then went into like Crass and stuff like that.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And so I just remember seeing like the Lust for Life CD and Transformer CD, and then also being like, who
what is
dudes? David Bowie's deal?
Yeah, what is this?
Yeah, and I was like, wait, is David Bowie punk?
Yeah.
And then and just being it's still it still sticks. I mean, I just bought Diamond Dogs yesterday.
Hell yeah.
A week ago. Still probably my favorite. Yeah.
I saw the Hunger, the movie The Hunger that Bowie's actually in with Catherine Deneuve.
Oh, I have not seen that one.
Oh, it's great. It's It's 80s vampire movie. It's very cool. Like it's it's very 80s. Tony Scott directed. So before he did like Top Gun and like Beverly Hills Cop 2 and all that, like Tony Scott did this movie The Hunger, and it's like really super artsy like vampire movie.
Oh.
But there's a that song in The Idiot, Fun Time, is just in this like.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I was like, fuck, what a fucked up song. Like in a good way, we're just like, that's a crazy song. Like even for Iggy, it was like that's a nuts album.
I have some friends that are like, fuck that record, Lust for Life. And it's like, I totally get the Lust for Life is like,
it's classic. Yeah.
But it's more of the crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
The Idiots, I think, is amazing. And it's just because it's like, yeah, they went there.
No, he absolutely did. And that's something where it's like, I feel like Lust for Life is really, it's easy to be like, yeah, that one rocks. You know why? Because it rocks. But if you listen to something
every
like,
song's great.
When you hear something like Night Clubbing, where you're like, what is something wrong with the stereo? Like what's happening?
Yeah.
Where it's like, and it's just like, and it's like, what the hell is like? It sounds like your ocular canal is messed up or something.
Yeah.
Like every part of it, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah. Actually, do you know the band Abandancy?
Yeah.
They released a new record, and
Rainer put out. It was like a split release. It was like Ghost is Clear and Learning Curve and someone. I mean, all joint allied forces got together and released it. I don't remember exactly. I should know, but I don't.
I just shot them a message just saying like, hey, it's fucking awesome, and I mean this in the best way possible. It kind of creeps me out.
Totally. No, I'm the same way where. If I hear a record that like affects me that way, it's like, oh, that's notable. Yeah, because I hear a lot of records.
Yes, and I think about like The Flowers of Romance by Public Image Limited. It's like, it's kind of a creepy sounding record. Like,
like what? That record is like, what is this? What is happening?
Yeah, but like I keep on returning to it.
But it's compelling in some way. I mean, even like. Some of the guitar stuff is just like, I don't even know, like, was this even an idea? Like, what's happening here? But it's fantastic, and there's nothing like it. And it's just got this real, I mean, like, everyone's at the peak of their power. Like, I'm lucky enough to talk to Martin Atkins, I don't know, whatever, 4 or 5 years ago, something along those lines. He was very...
Who's he?
The drummer for
okay.
PIL, and like Pigface and Killing Joke for a while, and he's just a guy that's he was in the live Ministry and Nine Inch Nails. Like he's just a dude that's just like, I mean, if you listen to the drums on that record, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense why you're working with all these crazy people, and like and Pigface being his thing, where like you're like, yes, what is it? Sure, I'm in. Let's go. But like it's very unearthly sounding, right?
Yeah.
That record, and I'm a big PIL fan in general.
Yeah.
But that record especially, it does sound kind of like, oh, this is like not of this world somehow. Like,
so cold sounding, and I really love pop music, but sometimes I need something that's just like, like purposely trying to break every mold and
like that first Gang of Four record to me is like, it sounds so odd, right? It sounds like just nothing else, but it's like, oh no, I love it. Like, and I love how like weird and clinical it sounds, but like it's definitely, if I've heard too much rock music, or I've heard too much of this kind of whatever, and you throw that on, it's like, oh, this is like a palate cleanser. This is like, they're going to be like, because there's nothing that sounds like this, so it's going to, it's going to kind of do a reset on the old ears somehow.
There's another record I have that's like kind of a reset record, Caetano Veloso. Brazilian pop dude from the 60s, like the whole like Tropicalia thing. Like he's written probably songs that you've heard get covered.
I just don't know it's him. Okay, so it's that kind of thing. Sure.
He has this one record, can't remember what it's called. It's over here somewhere, but it's just like a picture of him in a Speedo, and the record is absolutely bizarre.
That's
and
awesome.
Like it's a lot of more like sound collage, and like it's still is in Portuguese, and but there'll be like weird trippy sound effects and loops and stuff like that, and it just really is like everything else is like he's very like Beatles influenced, but like Brazilian pop music, and then suddenly there's just like, and it almost like it's actually the only record I have by him on vinyl.
Interesting. Okay.
Because his records aren't like necessarily easy to find, but
sure, yeah.
I like, it's like one of my prized records because I'm like, dude, this one's so fucking fucked.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love that kind of stuff. It's like, I've got a pretty big blind spot for it, but I still remember first time I heard Os Mutantes, I was just like, what the hell? Like, what's this crew even doing?
Yeah, he definitely played with all those guys.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Should probably explore it more. No, but it's it's good to have those kinds of, for lack of a better term, palate cleanser records too, right?
Yeah.
Where it's gonna like make you think about things differently.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me. All right, so let's talk about your record.
Okay, sure.
Your record, Wasteland Baby, Carl, which is out now, and it's people can get it, and they can get it at these shows that you are about to play at the time of this recording.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we do you down to kind of do the thing where we go through song by song on it? Like,
yeah,
we did that last time, didn't we? I don't remember what we did.
I think we did. Yeah,
I don't remember what I did last week, frankly, but that's a different problem. So let's do that. Let's go through song by song, and you can tell me a little about each one. Where the song title come from, lyrics, arrangement. Blah 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 blah. The drill. You've been on this show before. Let's put it up on the screen. Okay, so you got the Wasteland Baby intro theme from Wasteland Baby.
Yeah, I actually wrote that one before the main Wasteland Baby song.
Okay,
and me and my wife just talking a lot about like having kids and stuff like that. like as well as being juxtaposed against like, yeah, it just feels like things are falling apart all the time. In just, you know, devastation everywhere, and, you know, climate change and stuff like that. So it just popped into my head, like, yeah, if we have a baby, it's going to be a wasteland baby. And then I started like, it was late at night. I took my dog out for a walk, and I just started like humming those words to like pretty much to the tune of what is the song? The New Seekers, that I like to teach the world to sing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The perfect harmony. Yeah.
Yeah, that became the Coke commercial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was hilarious. And like, but I do like that song. But it's
good. Yeah.
It's hilarious that it got turned in. It is like a song about harmony and peace and stuff like that. And it got co-opted by the Coca-Cola company.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
it's just, it was a song before that.
Right. And then now that is never remembered because it's just like, oh yeah, that Coke commercial song. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. And then I don't know if it was before or after coming up with that song. Like, I never, like, it was stuck here forever because it's a really short song anyway.
Yeah, it's not a ton of time with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think I really played it on guitar until I recorded it. Because I was just like, yeah, this is going to be easy. So just like a couple takes, did the vocals and guitar live on my we have a 4-track Tascam cassette recorder, but it's like a nicer one. I don't remember the model, but yeah, recorded on that. But is it either before or after, I can't remember, we were on tour and we were listening to, I think it was a solo Willie Nelson record, and our aux cable for the van broke, so we had to use one of those radio.
Sure, you broadcast to the stereo. Yeah. So yeah, you Bluetooth the thing, and then it sends a signal to the. And we're on tour somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and like suddenly there was just static interference. So it was just like this really nice, like, beautiful song that it was like just Willie Nelson and his guitar and singing, and it's just suddenly like, I don't even remember the name of the song, but he's just playing, and then suddenly just like it just fritzes out.
Yeah, and it was really jarring. And then I was just like, what do you guys think about us doing that on the record?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, sure.
And why not?
Yeah. So some people really hate that song, and I don't care. I feel like it's really important to the record, like kind of setting up the record.
It's supposed to be a little jarring, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the intention. Yeah.
Well, it's also just like, I said I wanted the record to, and we all agreed that we wanted to make the record a little more like immersive and interactive. So when you hear this, we weren't sure how to get the static. We did all the record at Machines with Magnets in Pawtucket, except for like some extra like synth and mellotron and then 4-track cassette recordings at home. I did those at home, dumped it, and then we're trying to figure out how to make that static sound. Seth just found a program that it literally fed every single song from the record into like some kind of noise generator. So you can just you're hearing like every song playing
At once? Oh, wow. Crazy. Okay.
And
Yeah, because
then-
it's kind of a wild sound. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just like static and insanity, and so and then I think it just the static build up into the next song is, yeah,
Which is a good intro to to Insects here. So tell me about Insects.
Insects started with the drum beat. Actually, I think I really. Have you ever heard of a band called why am I spacing out? Oh, Dog-Faced Hermans.
Oh, of course, yeah. The one fella played in the X.
Oh, really?
As well,
Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, really kind of underrated band,
Super,
actually.
super underrated band. Like I am surprised that there isn't like a resurgence of. They're amazing.
Yes, Scotland, I think. Like
they're from Scotland.
Right.
Yeah. And it's the first song on. I can't remember the name of the record, but the song's called Jan 9th, and it's we pretty much jacked the drum beat. Like it's almost
nice.
It's almost the same drum beat.
Yeah.
And so I just took that drum beat and then I started writing stuff over it, and then the da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought that was like original idea, and then I found a Sly and the Family Stone song that
yeah, that happens sometimes.
I was major Sly and the Family Stone fan for a long time. So,
oh hell yeah, those records are great.
Yeah, I guess it just kind of seeped in there, and then I feel like the choruses are almost like Depeche Mode sounding to me.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely a new wavy kind of thing to it. I can hear that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then also the guitar breakdown is also kind of similar to Sly and the Family Stone, but it's that guitar break to me it sounds like it should be a horn part, and I think that's what we're trying to mimic. There is like a melodica throughout that song, but for that section we added the melodica, but then we pitched it down so it almost is doubling it, and kind of sounds like a saxophone.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just like the song just is kind of like, it's a good first song because it just is kind of setting up the premise of like, this is a story about a guy that hates the fucking world. Yeah. And is really fucking. I feel like it's whenever somebody's like, what do you have to be mad about or sad about? I'm like,
yeah.
Well, I guess my life isn't that bad. Like, but it's hard to watch the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And seeing so many people in pain and so many people getting screwed over. And like, honestly, I am not like living the greatest life, like,
no, yeah.
I'm very, very lucky. But like, it's still at the same time, it's just like everything, especially in this country, everything just feels rigged against anybody that works like a hard living, and so it's just the opening line is I just say I got a lot of contempt for this world and each pig devil that tries to ruin it. The world is pretty stellar. It's pretty awesome. And there's people that come from immense wealth that are controlling it and can't see that what they're doing is doing way more damage.
Yeah.
And then every day, there's always got to be a new thing. Like, oh, there's this new thing. It's so amazing. Everybody's going to want to use it. And it also takes away jobs from every... Like, it's...
Right, exactly.
Hey, I got this great idea.
Yeah.
This general thing that everybody uses, well, what if we did it but without workers? It's just like it feels rotten.
Wouldn't it be easier if we did it that way? Well, yes, I guess it would be easier, but it also,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, don't worry, I can make art too. Oh, good, can it? Oh, okay,
yeah,
great. Sounds like a great use of everyone's time.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So that's Insects. So then, third song, Hard Work Will Get You Nowhere, Motorin.
Yeah, we originally were Motorin was the working title because we went on tour with this band Meatwave.
Yeah.
They're awesome, and we had an early show in Columbus, Ohio, and so the bar did karaoke after, and some of us, did. Pretty much everybody sang, and Chris from that band did that. Is it Dockin?
Oh, the
Motorin. Yeah,
I think it's
Christian.
I think it's Night Ranger.
Night
actually.
Ranger, yeah. And we were like,
that song's way more complicated than you probably remember it being.
yeah.
What I'll say. Like it's like, wow, this is a really kind of overwritten song.
Yeah.
It's a huge hit though, so what do I know? But
Yeah. And I think after like the third chorus, he just went fucking motor. And we were just like, yeah, we should call it fucking Motorin. And so that was the working title for a long time. And then
I have a similar story with a friend of mine was doing Foghat. It was like, fucking slow ride.
yeah.
Take it fucking easy.
Yeah.
It's a good shtick when it's something repetitive like that.
Yeah. And but yeah, it's lyrically very much in the same vein as Insects in that, but it's like more from a more personal experience of both in music and both in my day job life. Like hard work hasn't really actually, it feels like it hasn't actually gotten me anywhere because we live in capitalist society.
Well, your value is too busy being extracted for the people that are benefiting from it, right?
Oh yeah,
it's like,
it's
great if you're at the top.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah. It's aces. Why would I want to change this? This is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's that's too real, if you ask me. But no.
Yeah. It's just like currently right now my job is like bleeding me dry. Like right now, like I'm so tired, and like balancing music and work has gotten to be harder and harder every year.
Yeah.
And this year has been the hardest. Like just it's maybe it like sometimes I'm like really glad I didn't go to college because I don't have any of that debt.
Right.
But I will forever work, hard labor jobs because of it, probably.
Yeah.
Unless if I figure out how to Jedi mind trick myself into something. But I've only worked like, entry level labor jobs, and I'm just so beat. And
it's designed to exhaust you too. And think about it for perspective too, not to relativize it away, but like you at least write songs, you create things. Imagine if you didn't have that, like at least there's some brief respite.
Yeah.
from anyway, which doesn't make it any better, but it's what it is.
Yeah. I was at a bachelor party recently, and there was a fella at this bachelor party that is in a very, very popular band. Like they are very big, and he's a great dude. And then my there was another friend there that is like tour manages a pretty big band as well, and they were chatting, talking about the biz, and then like my friend Al was just like, "So Carl, like, who's your booking agent?" And I was like, "Me." And he's like, "And then who does like who's your TM?"
Yeah.
And I was
Also
like,
me.
"Us." Like,
Yeah.
us. And then he's like, "Well, who does?" And I was just like, "It's gonna be us for everything."
Yeah, the answer to all of these questions is I'm doing it.
Yeah. I'm like, I make the flyers a lot of times. I sometimes make the shirts, do the album covers, you know, like, and he was like, "Jesus Christ, you're the hardest working motherfucker." And I was like, "Yeah, it doesn't make me feel any better."
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, I do appreciate it, but like, he's like, but like, I'm like, when he was like, "So how much like, are you guys going to do another big tour?" I'm like, "No, fuck no. No." And he was like, "But why?" I'm like, "Because I can't keep up this pace. It's literally impossible." Like, and the older and older you get, the harder like it is to do it. So I don't want to ever stop making music, but like touring is definitely not gonna be the same.
Well, you got to keep it sustainable, though. That's the thing, and like what that means to you now is not going to be necessarily the same thing that it meant to you like years ago. But if you don't, like, you're just, I've seen people push too hard, and you know, then it just turns into burnout, and then it turns into, guess what? No more band. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
I
like
feel
maybe one of the saddest stories, where it's like, oh, you could have just like slowed it down a little bit. Would have been fine. You know, like, you didn't have to, like, you don't get an award for like, they went harder than anybody. Okay, well, there's no, as far as I know, there's no trophy for that, but I would like to put myself in contention if there is. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just sad that we're, and then we have this, they call it's like, you know, like keeping up with the Joneses, but like, you know, creatively somehow, and it's like, well, that's not healthy either.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever lose ideas,
Right.
but when the last record came out, we did a fuck ton of touring.
Oh yeah, no, I remember.
We like started out small. We did like just a few dates around the East Coast, like, and then we did this month of touring, like out to the West Coast and back.
Yeah.
And the thing also was that it seemed like the record was getting like a lot of good attention, and we were like, yeah, then we got this, we have to do this, we have to do this. And it couldn't be what is being said about us on the internet versus attendance or whatever, it did not translate at all.
Yeah.
So it just like it doesn't matter. Like, you know, you should only do what you know you can do, and and even still, don't expect to be like turning a big profit, you know. So we got our heads filled and thought, this is going to be the best tour.
Now's the moment. Let's strike. Yeah, and it was like,
we were so dumb. It was not the moment. I even heard interview with like somebody from the band Animal Collective. I don't know how I got around to this podcast, and he was saying the same thing about one of their records that got like best new music by Pitchfork. He was like, yeah, we did a big massive tour and it sucked. It just sucked. And yeah. Now so
well, but there's also just like, there's things that people perceive to be big in their world, and it's like, well, cool, but all those people are not in the same place.
Yeah.
All those people are spread out, you know, all over the country, all over like the planet, and
yeah,
And it'd be great if they were all in the same room together. That sounds awesome. But
Yeah.
until someone figures out a way to do that, you're like, cool, we're playing to 10 people here, and these are 10 very nice people, but this is not going to even pay for the gas to get to the next show. So you better have like a strong merch game or I don't know, just like anything else. Just be wealthy. Just be independently wealthy. That will solve everything.
Or be British, I think. That's another thing that helps.
Be British, sure.
Yeah. Like there's been some bands that we've played with, like British bands, that I'm just like, you guys have literally, like, we played with Black Mini before the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
They literally had one song up. One.
Wow.
At the time. And we were like, who is this? And they're like, would you want to open? The venue was like, do you want to open up for them? And we're like, I don't know who they are. Sorry. And they're like, we strongly suggest you play in the show. and they were amazing. They were like world-class musicians. They put on a great show, but they literally had one song up. Like that was all that was available. And it was a sold out, like, 200 to 300 capacity room.
Wow.
People going ape shit. And I was just like, I should stop talking like this, right?
It's like, suddenly, oh yeah, they're British suddenly. I don't know. I thought they were.
The wage gap is fucked up. We go solve it. Yeah, it's
funny.
There's just more of like a machine there, I guess. That can push bands and stuff like that. And then also I think us in the US, some of us are like, ooh, wow, exotic. And it's like, dude, yeah, okay. Sure. That being said, there is like some really fucking amazing like British bands.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Like I feel like if you're dedicated enough to looking, like you can find something amazing almost anywhere. Where there's some really great, like USA Nails a lot, like Blacklisters. I said the band Thank On, that band's like really good.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I could say this, but I'm pretty certain that we're going to be doing the UK with Thank.
There you go. Breaking news.
Yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I don't think we have to keep it secret.
Yeah, like who are you keeping it secret from?
Yeah,
like the 100 people that are going to be like, "Fuck yeah,"
Yeah.
Freddie didn't say anything, but I also didn't ask him. We were too busy talking about. I think we talked about new metal for a surprising amount of time. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. That's great. That's a great match, actually, I think.
Yeah.
So, I dig it. Tell me about a Functional Earth.
Functional Earth, that came about while when we moved to Rhode Island, we have a finished basement that's like, we were toying with the idea of just using that as our practice space. Mm-hmm. And we did for over a year until a new neighbor moved in and just complained.
Put the kibosh on that operation.
Yeah. And so we got a practice space now, but we were doing long like writing sessions in the basement. That was actually like, honestly, like it was a great time because it was really comfortable. It's also like, carpeted and wood paneled walls and drop ceilings. So it made it tolerable. It wasn't like a, cement basement just being aggressively cacophonous. Like, so you could like handle it a little more.
Yeah, it's not like jarringly, like devastatingly loud to the point that it hurts your mind.
Yeah. And half of the band is in New York, half is here, so they come down for like 3 to 4 days maybe, and we do these like marathon writing sessions. And I think we had a pretty accomplished day. Mm-hmm. And I believe I took way too big of an edible, and I'm also like not like I haven't my whole entire 20s. I've not been a weedsman. It made me paranoid and such. So
Sure.
And I still don't really touch it too much. And we put on pet sounds.
Nice.
And the opening. Like was playing, and I was just like fucked, like just exhausted and kind of tripping on a heavy dose of gummy, and I just started hearing the opening guitar line for Functional Earth in my head, and so I just went downstairs while everybody was having dinner and stuff and started coming up with that. And then it just, I don't know, it just like flowed.
That's awesome.
Next thing was the bass line, and then, and then onward. And, the chorus, I've been obsessed with, the Mellotron, that keyboard.
Mellotrons are so cool.
Yeah. I've only been in the presence of them twice. We got to put a bunch of it on our record Universal Care. And then on My Name Is Hell and on the new record, I have one of the digital ones. It's just like high quality samples of the original tapes.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
So, I'm just so obsessed with it. It's on like almost everything by us, like in some way. Maybe not. You can't hear it.
But it's there.
It's tucked in. But then I actually started using. It's a corny ass pedal, but like the Mellotron pedal.
Oh, there's a pedal for it? Oh, interesting. Okay.
Electro Harmonics has a Mellotron pedal, and I bought it on a whim. I was like, I'm obsessed with the instrument. What if I start trying to make my guitar sound like a Mellotron?
Yeah.
And it sounds very corny, but if you put it like before your like distortion or whatever, you can kind of color it up, and then I put it through my overdrive, and then a reverb,
and get something cool out of it.
Yeah, and so that's how I came up with the choruses. Was just I wanted it to feel like this big ethereal moment, and it's all over the record. Like it's. I mean, it's in the intro to, and in the guitar solo on Hard Work. We're ridiculous with pedals. Like sometimes our tones are just like pretty standard, just overdriven guitar sound.
Yeah.
But then, as my friend Adam from Caven said, sometimes you got to turn on the fire hose.
It's true. Sometimes you just got to rip it up.
Yeah, but the trick is knowing when to turn on the fire hose.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So that was like me trying to turn on the fire hose with a chorus. Yeah.
There's a band here called Resurrectionists that I like quite a bit. That John, who plays in that band, plays. He has like a 12-string guitar that he plays sometimes. Sometimes he plays this digital Mellotron emulator thing. It's pretty rad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a unique sound, as you know.
Yeah. We've definitely tried a handful of times to take something that could potentially be very corny and try to figure out how to make it
how do you make
interesting.
This work? Yeah. It can be a challenge.
Yeah.
And then you're like, why did we drag this out exactly? Like, is it just more stuff to set up? And
Yeah.
keep track of.
Yeah. And then just that song is just, definitely about the end of the world, you know. I finished the lyrics and showed it to Christina, and she was like, wow. She's like, that's heavy. And I was like, what? And she's like, because it's about the end of the world. And I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah. She's like, well, the truth is, like, for some people, it is the end of the world right now. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Woof. Yes.
Almost like started feeling guilty about it.
It's like,
know?
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, being like, I'm putting this into a song that's supposed to be fun. Yeah.
But again, you can, it's very easy to relativize things away.
Yeah.
And, you know, like there's something to be said for being aware of the world, for sure. But there's also something to be said for, you know, you gotta let it go sometimes.
Yeah.
Or you're never gonna be able to never gonna leave your bed.
I mean, I wasn't thinking about Israel and Palestine at the time of writing the song at all. Like, I was just thinking about just the world in general, kind of burning alive and stuff like that. And because I feel like we are our own, you know, we're creating our own damnation, you know.
Yeah.
I also watched that movie Oppenheimer, and it was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we invented fire. Or we didn't invent fire, but we learned how to control it, and then we, you know, we've been burning each other down.
Very good at it.
Yeah.
We're very, very good at that. It's a skill, to say the least.
Yeah, our greed and our unquenchable thirst for power is what's, I think, gonna ultimately end us, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything new. Everybody knows this, right?
It's fairly common knowledge, I'd say. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How about Any Way It Goes?
Any Way It Goes. I wrote this while I think we were babysitting my nephews, and they took their nap, and so I just playing really quietly, and it kind of came out, and we honestly needed maybe a song to slow things down,
right?
To give people a rest. I mean, give us a rest and give the listener a rest. And this is also kind of like if you're following the story, this guy is just watching the world burn and is feeling more and more misanthropic, and this is when the guy kind of goes, fuck it. And this is when I was watching the movie Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, cheery
and
movie.
Just thinking about like what would it be like to, you know, just go like, you know, I'm drinking till the end.
Yeah.
And I'll never watch that movie again. It was amazing.
It's so good, but it's such a drag, man. It's just like
the biggest drag of a movie, I think.
Well, that was yeah, exactly. It's like let's lighten things up by throwing in Schindler's List next.
Yeah,
great.
But also, it's
amazing.
Have you watched the TV show Last Man on Earth?
Yeah.
It was, so this album is also kind of influenced by that, where I think it's in the first or second episode. He's like, you know, he's alone. Everybody's died. He thinks he's the last person, and he's like just about gonna end it.
Yeah.
And then he sees like something off in the distance, and that kind of coaxes him into being like, oh, you know, oh, I'll hang in there. So going from that into the next song, that's like, oh, I'm gonna end it. Oh wait, I'm sticking around, like, kind of thing. And but Anyway It Goes was a lot of fun to kind of I guess, produce or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like all these songs definitely have some added textures and stuff like that.
There's a lot there to kind of reward the listener for taking the time to give it another listen, basically.
Yeah. But this one, I don't think we'll ever probably play live. There's 12-string guitar, there's melodica, there's synth, there's mellotron, there's
a lot happening. Yeah.
There's a lot happening, and yeah. So I don't think we could get it to the same grandeur that it gets.
Well, and that's the worst if you try something that's like a flex that way, and you like, oh, didn't quite nail it, and it's like,
yeah. I don't want to.
That's the worst.
I don't. It doesn't matter how many records we put out. We'll never be a band that plays more than 30 minutes. Maybe some nights if we're headlining, maybe 40 minutes. So it's like, yeah, all right. That means got to whittle down a lot of stuff, and so
right, sure, absolutely.
I think the song. I like the song. I think it's more of like a purpose server than it is.
It serves. It takes up a place in the record and does the thing that it needs to do.
Yeah.
For the record,
yeah.
No, there's something to be said for songs like that.
Yeah.
I used to like kind of be sort of like about that, but like no, I'm all about it now. Like I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that,
Yeah, and I just wanted to give. I think sometimes you need like a little bit of a respite, and even at the end, it kind of drones on for a while. The sound that's droning is like. I made a loop of like. It's like 600 like mandolins.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I just over and over looping this mandolin.
Yeah.
And then some reverb. And so that's how it ended up. And then that static from the first song comes back. And
right. It's like a repeated theme that way. Sure. Yeah. Rad. Okay. So You Are Found.
You Are Found. I think this was one of the earliest songs that we had going for the record. Came up with a guitar progression first, and then came up with a bass line second. I just started picturing a arpeggiating bass line with delay on it.
Yeah.
And John's never shied away from trying whatever stupid effect. I totally get like most bass players should just not have any pedals.
He's definitely one of the ones that justifies having them, where it's like, oh no, you're doing this as like a thing, like you're trying to do a thing here, and it doesn't have to be everybody's thing, but you're doing something specific with this that isn't just like, look what I can do,
Yeah. It definitely is. It's actually like a songwriting.
It's important, exactly. Yeah, it's important to the compositions.
Yeah,
it isn't just like check it out. Great, sounds like a video game.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Ding, well done.
Yeah.
No, he uses it very well. Like it's a distinctive thing that you guys do, and that may not be immediately noticeable to non-musicians, but it's definitely noticeable.
Yeah, there's a song on the last record where we used tremolo on the bass.
Yeah.
And it was to great effect, but it's also like tremolo is like when you're putting tremolo on what is supposed to be the anchoring rhythm instrument. It's like
it's a lot.
Yeah. And we added it actually on this song too, on the choruses. But when John was like, "Oh, I took the tremolo off the pedal board. Do I need to put it back on for tour?" I'm like, nobody's gonna give a shit.
Nobody cares. That's
that's
a
sad
reality.
Yeah. I definitely love playing this song live. It doesn't need it. This is another example of using the Mellotron pedal to having like a string sound on my guitar. And then I love Christina's guitar playing on this too. And,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, we also, for this song, this is the only, there's a couple, this is a first for us. We did a couple songs, Insects, I think Functional Earth, a couple others that we did to a click.
Oh, okay. Sure.
We've never done that before. But this one, the first verse is the first time we ever did a sequence and quantized. Yeah, I don't like to go down that rabbit hole, but if it serves a purpose, okay. So we had been playing the song live for a long time, and I still like how we play it live, but we were trying to get the first verse to be more mechanical, and it was just like, it was just impossible, like, to get it exactly on the dot, like, especially with the delay timing.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors at play there, right? So.
Yeah. So it was Seth that was like, how about this? Play every note on the bass. I'll sample every single one and I'll build a sequence, like a sequencer, like a synth. And so he just hit every note, took a sample of every single one, sequenced it, then added the delay, then added the octave stuff, and then Adam played the drums to it, and then he quantized Adam's drumming, so it's just super like robotic, and then it comes off the grid.
Right, because
the first chorus hits.
So it's like more notable like when it does.
Yeah. It's like a Wizard of Oz moment, opening the door.
Yeah.
Going from black and white to color, you know.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, let's see. What's next? Hold on, let me find the screen.
Whatever the news.
Whatever the news, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I my highlighter turned off.
No, it's okay.
Whatever the news. Tell me about that one.
This one has a weird origin in that it was the bass line first. Some of these songs I came up with like maybe the initial like bass line, and then handed it over. There was because we live far away, we just emailing back and forth and being like, hey, can you take a spin on this? And I came up with the bass line. It came from Kanye West, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has a song called Black Skinhead. It's off of that record Yeezus, which I think is like, say what you will about him being a complete lunatic or whatever, but he's a really creative dude.
At one point he was known for things other than lunacy, yes.
Yeah. And that record is pretty fucking ballsy. It's like got a lot of like more like industrial like influence to it. And but yeah, the main lines boom doom 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 doom, and I just took the same interval and started playing it, but I tuned the bass a certain way so I could just do the harmonics.
Oh sure, okay, yeah. And
I could go gong 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 on just borrowing a harmonic on the 12th or something.
Yeah,
I don't fucking know. And then with chorus and like distortion on, and I thought it sounded really cool. And then John was like, "Yeah, that's really cool, but like that tuning, like what the fuck? Like
It's not functional.
yeah, like if we're ever gonna play it live, it's just gonna put a wrench in the set.
Yeah, hear me grab this other bass so we can plug that in so I can play one song on it.
Yeah. So then he kind of took it on, and we were also at the time listening to a lot of this band Beak, which is
it's like the guy from Portishead's kind of rock band's maybe a misnomer, but yeah. That's
krautrock,
space
rock band, yeah. And it kind of reminds me of that, like.
Sure, I can, yeah.
They're a band where it's like the bass player is kind of like leading the band, and also a band where the bass player doesn't shy away from using a multitude of different weird effects. And
it's true.
So yeah, it was really that the bass line first, and then we kind of took it from there. And it was actually really quick, one of the quickest songs to write. And lyrically, I'm just kind of talking about. So in this universe where the world is falling apart, I was like, well, who would be the fucking, the Marauders? And I was like, oh, probably MAGA people. Like, some, if not Trump, somebody else.
Yeah.
Would take his place in being like, there's a reason why we are in this wasteland, and it's all because of
this one,
those
right,
liberal people, and that like they have the fucking Project 2025 shit going on.
They do. I think they'd like to think that's who they would be. Everybody likes to think that they'd be like the cool people in the wasteland, and it's like. Fact of the matter is, most people would actually just be cannon fodder. Like it's
yeah. I mean, most of them are cowards for sure.
Yeah, it's like just because like you can talk tough on the internet doesn't mean you have any actual survival skills, no matter how many tactical assault belts you have.
But some of them are psychos,
Oh, 100%. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, that is the idea of. How do you get to the wasteland? This is how you get the wasteland.
Yeah.
Right? Like this collapse of society.
Also, the opening line is in that song is, "I need my father's luck," which I'm kind of just talking about, like, the previous generation. They could afford a house and
Doesn't
all
that seem nice?
Yeah.
that's like, that's not a thing that
we don't really have that.
We don't have that. No.
And then the next line is, "And I need my mother's gun."
Yeah.
Which is a funny thing that always comes up with me. Because somebody will be like, "Oh, you have USAA insurance. Like, are you a vet?" I'm like, no, vets in my family. And they're like, "Who?" And I'm like, "My mom." And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, my mom was in the Navy."
Right.
And so it's like, that's always like something that is always I guess an icebreaker conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was just like kind of hinting to that, like, my mom, she's a tough lady. Good. She's super sweet and super nice, but like she's a lot tougher than her image is or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's a good
thing.
Yeah.
And then this also song, just like also more danceable kind of shit, like that we were kind of going on, and I feel like this song kind of has like a little bit of like an 80s new wave and synth pop.
A little new wavy, sure, absolutely. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. How about Motherfuckers? Tell me about Motherfuckers.
Motherfuckers, I remember distinctly writing in lockdown, and I guess I was kind of started out kind of writing about like all my friends that are having to like work at grocery stores and stuff like that,
right,
during the the scariest time. But then it also kind of shifted into like, while we were on tour, that really long tour, we were on the West Coast. We were in Redding, California.
Yeah, I think we missed you by like a day. We were going one way or the other. Yeah. which is
Yeah.
and I remember being like, Reading, huh?
Honestly, the people were really swell.
It's
Like,
cool.
yeah.
It seems like it could go off in the right situation. It's just not. Let's put it this way: as someone from the West Coast, not really on the tour circuit normally.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say it isn't good. I'm just saying that, like, I was surprised to see that's where you guys were playing.
The people that booked us really, really loved us, and
That's
there
fantastic.
wasn't many people, and I think it might have been like a Monday anyway, so there's not a whole lot we can expect.
I remember it was actually it was a Monday.
Really? Wow.
And we were going the other way. I remember that we were going the other way
yeah.
from you, and I was like, wow, it'd be cool if like to meet up with them in like Monday and Reading. That'd be interesting, but it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. So I mean, the people that were there, which wasn't many, it was like 20 people.
Yeah.
Really dug it, but there was this one guy that came early, and he bought 2 shirts, and then he sat down and like started talking to us, and he actually started talking to the rest of the band, and I was doing something else, and he ended up being like, why are you doing this? And he ended up saying that he was like, he works in tech industry and makes a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And he offered us $400 to not play.
Whoa.
Yeah. He was just a hot shot. And I think also just like very socially awkward. And just kind of an asshole.
I've heard of pay to play, but this is ridiculous. This is pay not to play.
Yeah. And he just really couldn't comprehend why we were doing this. And he was trying to tell us like, oh, you need that hit song. Like, that's the only way you can do this. And it's like, yeah, I know, but, okay.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for letting us know, dude.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah, I know. Oh, a hit song, you say? Huh.
Oh, the only thing you need to be successful is to have success.
Oh, that's what we've been doing wrong.
Yeah.
We should write popular songs and be successful.
Yeah.
Got it.
So the song ended up kind of being more about just like kind of saying like, I'm tired of like explaining myself.
Right.
Like,
right.
I'm tired of being around like corporate fat cats or people that think they're corporate fat cats making a killing.
Yeah.
And I've had multiple times people saying like, what the fuck are you doing? What the like in certain, sometimes there is these social interactions with like, a family friend or whatever. And
sure. And they got opinions. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so fucking tired of like apologizing for my fucking life.
Yeah.
And so, the last line of the song is just, so fuck you.
It's pretty succinctly put. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just, like, and honestly, I hope other people can relate to this because like, I think like, yeah, just why can't you just be whatever the fuck you want to be? And why does anybody have to fucking bother you about it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got my vote. All God's Children. This is this shorty.
Yeah. So after the main sessions, I worked for like two weeks or so on all the extra dubs and stuff. There was a lot of I like doing the records this way because time is money and we don't have a lot of money, and so like having the luxury of having some recording equipment, you can take your time with extra finesses,
Yeah.
and so I spent a lot of time on through the the kitchen sink at everything, and then kind of me and Seth pared it down. But this was one idea that like I was making a bunch of different loops for like at the end of Hard Work. There's a loop of heavy breathing, and then there's like on the ending of Anyway It Goes, there's that loop of I was telling you about the mandolins. And then I started making this loop where I just started humming a thing, just a simple melodic hum line, looped it into the tape machine, and then I just started adding to it, and I just started like screeching and squealing.
Right. Getting that layering of that your own found sound.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. So I kind of was like, oh, maybe this could be interesting. And I'm glad I showed it to everybody, and I'm like, we don't have to put it on the record, but like I would really like to put this on the record. It's gonna definitely be, most people are gonna skip this, but for the nerds, like I think it helps make the album feel more complete, of kind of hammering
thematically, kind of like nail it against the wall a little bit.
Yeah, that like this is the sound of the world fucking burning.
Yeah.
And people like the sound of a zillion people suffering. And luckily everybody was down with it. Like I've jokingly said it's my favorite song on the record. It's not, but it's I'm glad I did it. I'm very happy that everybody allowed me to put it on there.
Right.
And then there's a tubular bell sound that comes from the Mellotron.
Oh yeah.
And I added that in there. It's just a bunch of screeching and then that. And this is totally not intentional. I didn't notice this until after the record was pressed or mastered and sent out to the press. We were on our honeymoon and in Montreal, and a church bell went off, and I noticed like, oh yeah, the church bell tells the time. And I was like, I wonder how many bell rings is on All God's Children. And so I listened back to it. It's 11. And the 12th ring is on Midnight.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. I know, like, straight up, like, I was telling everybody, I was like texting everybody, dude. And I don't think anybody else thought it was as interesting
like,
as me.
All right, whatever.
But I'm like, I'm really like that. What a happy accident,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that. That's great. Speaking of Midnight, tell me about that one.
Midnight was, I think that refrain came first before anything. The half the world shall burn and the other shall drown.
Yeah.
That came before anything. And then that riff came, but I never thought they would be together in the same song. They're like, bop, bop, bop. Like, it, like one idea sounds more like a folk tune, and the other sounds like industrial rock or
dirgy kind of.
Yeah. And then I kind of thought about the song March of the Pigs by Nine Inch Nails and how drastic that song shifts. And I was like, well, why can't we do that?
Sure.
And so that was the songwriting test, was trying to figure out how to make it go from point A to point B. And a lot of lyrics come from the Road Warrior. I don't know. Yeah, there's one section where the lyric is high octane gasoline enough juice I can haul. The world gets you on your knees, chained to the lead marauder truck. So I'm not like taking like exact words from them, but like
Sure, but definitely the ethos is there.
Yeah.
Did you see Furiosa, by the way?
Yeah. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was like the best of the best.
I liked it. I mean, like,
I liked it.
How are you gonna follow up Fury Road? You know, it's like
Fury Road was awesome. They're all awesome.
They each have their own flavor. I feel like those movies.
I think even that idea influences the record of being like, make your own fucking language, you know, like make like it. The Mad Max universe definitely lives on its own. You can't quite compare it to anything else. It's full of its own characters, you know, like
it's full of its own characters, and there's zero even concept of caring about fan service to it or like tying it together. It just exists as its own thing, and like whatever.
Yeah.
You coming or what?
There's been multiple characters that like actors have played.
Yeah, he's this person now. Okay.
Yeah. It's like
all right, you know? Sure.
It's like, well, if you noticed it, cool.
Yeah.
But if you have a problem with it, who gives a shit?
Yeah, George Miller does not care.
Yeah.
At all.
But I think Road Warrior might be my favorite.
Yeah, it's hard to mess with that one.
It's also the reason why the album cover is pink.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because there's a scene where he just peels out.
Yeah.
And he peels out, and you just, you know, he's in the desert, you know, wasteland.
Yeah.
And the sky has a very pink hue to it. So I was like, yeah, I want to make it pink. And so I took that I already had the photo. And so I just, you know, color corrected it or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't do the album layout, but I took all the photos for it. And and the photo of the album cover is just a mannequin statue thing for a florist that like right at the end of our street. So I also wanted to like take a nod to make a nod towards the fact that we live here now, and
sure, yeah, have something that's like local to that area.
Yeah, we're no longer Boston residents and stuff. But yeah, Mad Max series, I love it. I just love it. I mean, it's brutal and it's unique, but it, you know, it's not glorifying this idea. It's like like the narration says it enough that like,
yeah,
man's kind of evil, and like we're gonna be the reason why shit falls apart, you know?
It's true.
Yeah. What do you think of do you like Beyond Thunderdome?
It's cool. It's one of my least favorites, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't dislike it. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, if that was the only movie, then I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, it's awesome. But it's like, it's no Road Warrior. You know, it's no Fury Road. Like it's good.
Yeah. The first one is also like, I saw that last, I think.
Oh yeah, the first one is sort of like I thought it was going to be a totally different movie. It's like, oh, it hasn't actually ended yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like I saw that one like way later, and it was like, oh, this is like way different than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be like, I kind of thought it was going to be like Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this is just like, we have a bigger budget, we're basically redoing the same story. It's like, oh no, this is
yeah,
about gangs, I guess. Like I don't know like exactly what, you know, crazy. All right.
Yeah.
Title track. Tell me about Wasteland Baby. Closing it out here.
So I wrote the first one, the intro song first, and then I don't know. I just felt like Yeah, that song. I really like that album, that title.
Yeah.
So I want to use that title again, and so I, wrote this song.
It's a good
And,
title.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know if you know this, but we found out like after we had like sent the record out to press and everything, like there's another artist that has an album called Wasteland Baby.
Oh, really?
But have you heard of Hozier?
I know that is a musical act of some kind, a band or performer.
It kind of goes in line with that hey ho kind of music.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean by hey ho music?
I do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, I think I know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, like credit card commercial sounding.
Big credit card commercial energy.
Like
Yeah.
when life gets you down.
Yeah.
Remember, you gotta see the world. And then, hey, ho, oh.
Yeah. It's like, is this for a prescription medication or like a cell phone company? Like, what is this? What is this trying to sell? Yeah. It's
yeah.
Yeah. I know what that is.
So I feel really stupid that I'm like, I really thought I came up with a very one of a kind album title. Yeah. I was like, this is great. And everybody else was like, yeah, this definitely, we should call the album this. And then that kind of also bred the whole entire concept. And then we started realizing like, oh, these songs can actually work. And
it's it's a concept that all works. I mean, look, it's not like you called it Revolver, which the Replacements did, where it's like, yeah, everyone knows what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's freaking, was it Hozier, right? Like
Hozier.
Couldn't pick a song out of a Dockers. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's like, all right, yeah, all right. They block rock the mini mall. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't care about it. It doesn't exist in my world. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let them sue, is what I say.
Like a couple people commented on it, like, "Hey, why did you do that?" And I was like, "You think I listened to Hozier?" And then I looked it up, and their album title is Wasteland, Baby with an exclamation point. So it's like,
yeah,
it's not the same.
It's not the same then. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that's Wasteland Baby. Like ours is just Wasteland Baby. So
right.
Inflection
and punctuation count.
yeah, they definitely do. And but yeah, I love this song. I know this might be like the harder song for the more like aggro people to dig, but I don't give a shit. I think it's some of the best lyrics I've ever written.
Sure, yeah, I think it's a killer song.
Yeah, and I know everybody's like, "Oh, it sounds like Bruce," and I'm like, "Well, okay."
Like, and your point is,
I love Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Oh no, terrible.
Yeah.
You took that guy's advice seriously. You just had to write. I'm gonna write some hits. I'm just gonna write some hits.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
I wasn't just thinking about Bruce Springsteen writing this song though. I was thinking kind of more about like Magnetic Fields.
Oh sure, yeah. It's got big like I can hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, just because like he kind of Stephen Merritt, that songwriter from that band, he writes like kind of morose, but like beautiful things. Like, sorry, my cat. Oh my god, he's so annoying. He can have something be so sad and so funny and so beautiful at the same time, and that I think that's what I was trying to do. Was kind of, I mean, it sums up the whole entire concept of the record is that the world kind of stinks, but love makes everything worth it, and Yeah. Okay. All right. Come here.
So we've got these automatic feeders. Otherwise, I'd be hearing the same thing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. He is on an automatic feeder. He's just a crybaby.
Just wants to be heard.
He's got an automatic lyre box too and everything. Like, yeah. So that's really it. Like, I was writing a song for my wife, but it was like I was just kind of saying like, hey, if the whole world is burning, I'm still glad I'm with you,
Right.
And I think there's also like maybe the reason why I write like that is like it's almost like to kind of like not expose myself too much or something like that, even though it's I guess it's a very vulnerable thing to say. It's just like it's just kind of like such a dude thing to do, to be like, yeah, there's a love song, but there's blood and guts.
Right. No, but it's cool because there's fighting. Yeah.
But it also like, it hammers the point home too.
Right. Absolutely.
So I don't know, but I'm very happy with that song. And again, another instance of using a ton of that Mellotron pedal.
Yeah.
Just like I layered the shit out of it. And Christina's guitar line is amazing. The drum beat though comes, Adam and I were talking a lot about like, what should it be? And we found this one song by Piss Jeans called Half Idiot. It's on King of Jeans.
Okay.
And it's got that same kind of like tom beat going. We just added a tambourine onto the hi-hat. That's the only thing.
There you go.
Yeah. Because originally we were like doing something. He was like, oh, do you want me to do something like Max Weinberg? And I was like, no, fuck no. I don't want that. But then we were like, but what? And so I don't know how we were batting ideas back and forth. That was most of this record, was just like sending messages back and forth to each other. What about this? Could you take a spin on this? And so, yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out. And the fireworks at the end we just sampled like stock firework sounds.
Sure.
Yeah. Instead of actually doing the real thing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's easier.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So that is Wasteland Baby. There's the album cover for video listeners, for audio listeners. I just put up the album cover.
Yeah. Our friend Buzz, he plays in a band called Sun Organ from Philadelphia. He did the whole entire album design. I just gave him my photos I had, and I think he fucking did it.
It's great. It looks awesome.
I love it. I'm so happy with it.
I think it's great. I think it's a really great record, man.
Thank you.
It's good. Great to have you back. Great to talk about it. I am excited for you guys to take it on the road. And and anything else that we didn't cover? Anything coming up that we didn't mention? Because we had so many Lou Reed records to talk about or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Everything's kind of grim right now, but like in the world, in the music world too, it feels like a little bit. But there's still like really good music coming out.
There is.
So like I'm just stoked on that. Like wearing this shirt right now for this band called JRCG. Have you heard of them?
I don't know that band, no.
They're fucking amazing.
Okay.
It's really like a solo project, but it's a big ensemble live, and I honestly, if their record, that they put out this year is like one of the best fucking things I've heard in a long time.
Something new to check out. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just happy that stuff like that still survives despite, infrastructure not really supporting it or whatever. It's like, well,
almost in spite of it.
I think, that, fuck it. Like most journalist jobs have been gutted anyways. So
sure.
It's nobody's fault. And then we handed over, we were like, let's put all of our music on Spotify. It's like, oh, well,
let's go rent our music instead of even doing it. Great idea.
And let's promote ourselves on a social media controlled by megalomaniacs. It's like
also good. That'll never
all
end
right. Really. So maybe shit's gonna kind of suck for a while until something new has to happen, I think. So all that grim shit aside, I'm really, really pumped on music. Music still rocks.
Music does indeed still rock. If there's any takeaway from this show, that's what people should get back to.
Yeah,
Carl, it's a blast to have you back on, man. I'm glad we were able to make it fit in. I'm glad we were able to make it, and I'm glad we were able to fit it in. And man, you made a great record.
Thank you very much.
So stoked to have you back. Hopefully, it won't be 100 episodes till I have you on again, but who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe we can half that time.
Yeah.
Take care, brother.
Take care. Thank you.
Right.
Take care. Thank you for having me.
There he goes. That's Carl Shane. Let's hear something off of the new record. Let's actually hear the title. Well, I guess the end is the title track. One of the title tracks. Let's hear Wasteland Baby.
Outside, we'll keep the hellscape at bay, and doom is on the rise, oceans of blood and decay. There's only one thing in this world I don't despise, it's in her eyes. I'm a fool in love with a bomb at his back, and I set the world alive. Wasteland Baby. My wasteland baby. She's my wasteland baby. She's my wasteland baby. All the machines outside are ripping holes through your dreams. I'm living a civil happy life. The rust belt is every day. There's only one thing in this world I don't despise. Only times a fool in love with a bomb at his back. I set the world alive. Downtown, there'll be no one else around. It's alright. I went on a liquor store heist. She's my wasteland baby. She's my wasteland baby. She's my wasteland baby. She's my wasteland baby. this world I don't hate. There's only one thing in this world I don't hate. There's only one thing in this world I don't hate. There's only one thing in this world I don't hate, and it's her. Oh, it's her.
Cool. There you go. That's Wasteland Baby. For the record, Wasteland Baby by Kal Marks. Great record. KalMarks.bandcamp.com. You can pick them up. They're doing a bunch of these Midwest shows coming up. Go check those out if you're in the area and you can, if you listen to this in time. I think they got like Chicago and Des Moines and Kansas City and stuff. Anyway. Name of the show is Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. Thank you very much for listening to it. This show airs normally Thursdays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Streaming live, YouTube and Twitch. Podcasted later everywhere. Always free, no ads, no sponsors, no kidding. But if you like the show, ProtonicReversal.com for the archives. And you want to give $1 a month at Patreon.com/ProtonicReversal. That helps keep these lights on. And it gets you the episode sooner.
As we come to the close of our broadcast day.
Thank you for folks sharing the episode along, liking, subscribing to your platform of choice, recommending it. Helps people discover the show. It's a darn nice thing to do. So deeply, deeply appreciated for everyone doing that. No Protonic on the regular Thursday slot. I'm playing in Detroit with God Bullies, Conan Neutron, the Secret Friends. So if you're in that Michigan area, I don't know, swing by. I'll give you a sticker or something. After that, Steve, drummer from the Gits, who also literally wrote the book on his sadly departed bandmate, Mia Zapata. Steve Moriarty coming up on Sunday of this next week. So that's the next Protonic coming up. And Jim Kimball of Laughing Hyenas and Mule and Ghost Forest after that, I think, if I remember correctly. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, everyone. Stay safe out there.
Can you hear me now?
And of course, as always,
Out on Route 128,
check you later.
dark and lonely. I got my radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? any caller at all. Welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. The last announcer plays the last record. The last what? Leaves the transmitter. Circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive. It's the end of radio. As we come to the close of our broadcast day, radio.